The summer travel season is upon us. How do we balance the fun with the budget? Stay tuned for this episode of Headlines in Fine Print, and we'll talk about that and more. Hello, and welcome to Headlines in Fine Print with Dion, President and CEO of Piedmont Advantage Credit Union. Now, just as a reminder, before we get into today's content, we have the show archived on our YouTube channel and Spotify if you'd like to learn more or listen to past episodes. I'd also like to encourage you to follow our channels, like and share if you're so inclined. With no further ado, let's talk about keeping your finances intact during the summer travel season. Let me preface today's content by saying, if you're a regular listener, you may think some concepts here sound similar to a past episode we did on planning for the holiday season. And you are absolutely correct in your thinking. You will see some similarities. So let's begin with the fact that last-minute plans can bring a higher price tag with it. Booking airfare in advance, for example, generally brings lower fares for you by booking it in advance. By booking in advance, what I mean by that is several weeks or not months ahead of time. If circumstances lead to you making airline reservations on shorter notice, your flexibility may still bring the possibility of a last-minute deal. And flexibility means the actual day you could fly out. Perhaps you could fly out a day before or a day after, or if you're open to a very early flight or a very late flight. If a plane is not filled up, you might find some good last-minute deals that way that are more budget-friendly. Now, if your trip includes airfare, we could say the airfare itself is the headline, while the fees are the fine print. So look beyond just the airfare. Be sure to add up the fees for baggage and seat selection, for example, in addition to the airfare, to make sure you're comparing apples to apples when you're looking at what the total cost of that flight would be. Now, here's a pro tip on seat selection. And I'll preface this by saying I totally get it if you're willing to pay extra for an exit row or a seat in a particular part of the plane. However, if you're flexible in the seat selection, you can simply let the airline assign your seat when you check in, and there's generally no charge for that. And if your trip includes hotel, airfare, and rental car, or some combination of those three items, the booking sites generally offer discounts if you bundle those purchases together. So definitely keep that in mind when you're doing your shopping for your trip. Now let's shift gears now and talk about travel insurance. The headline of this topic sounds good enough. Something happens and you get a refund. Or do you? The fine print matters greatly. Travel insurance isn't free, so let's make sure you're getting what you're paying for with your hard-earned money. What are the exclusions? Are natural disasters or pandemics excluded from coverage? What about a pre-existing medical condition? Is the location itself in which you're traveling to on a travel advisory? So be sure to thoroughly review the exclusions before you agree to purchase travel insurance. Make sure the coverage aligns with the circumstances of your travel. It's also a good idea to understand what's involved in filing a claim. Again, I'm not saying travel insurance is good or bad. What I'm saying is weigh the costs, weigh the coverages, and certainly look at the exclusions against your particular circumstances to determine if the travel insurance is worth the money that you're paying for it. So let's return to the analogy from earlier on holiday spending. In that episode, I advocated for Christmas Club accounts. And the same concept holds true for holiday savings accounts. Now, this summer's travel season is already upon us, but consider setting aside funds each month, starting today, for next summer's travel season. Again, even if you don't have 100% saved by next summer, any amount you have saved is money you won't have to borrow or finance for next summer's travel. I like dedicated savings accounts because it gives your money a job and a purpose. But in the here and now of this summer, what if you need to borrow money to finance this summer's vacation? And specifically, let's talk about credit cards versus buy now, pay later. In a previous episode, I contrasted the minimum payment structure of a credit card and how that can stretch out over months or years, making a relatively small purchase very expensive. But conversely, buy now, pay later, there may still be finance charges involved, but generally you have a more condensed and defined repayment period that's often 12 months or less. So whichever path you choose, credit card or buy now, pay later, make sure the repayment structure allows you to afford the monthly payment and to not be saddled with this year's vacation expenses for years to come. So far, we've talked about what I would refer to as big ticket vacations. But vacations don't have to be. It doesn't have to involve the flight, the hotel room, and the rental car. And not to sound cliche, but the journey and the people you're making memories with may overshadow the destination in the long term. So let's talk a little bit about less expensive vacations. So one example that comes to mind is either vacationing in the off season or traveling somewhere over the summer where it's their off season. You can get the benefit of smaller crowds and a smaller price tag. And another example would be taking a road trip. One of the many things I love about living in North Carolina is that there's so much to see and so much to do, and most of this can be done in a simple day trip. No hotel, no airfare required. Lots of parks are free or much less expensive than going to a large theme park, and the large theme parks may often have the larger crowds that come with it. Now, while staycations may have become less attractive following the pandemic, everybody was kind of eager to get out of the house and go somewhere and do something and be around more people again. But let's not forget that taking some time away from work is good for your mental health. It's great to have time to rest and relax and recharge. And that could be a really inexpensive proposition. Now, in today's episode, I know we've covered a lot of ground as we kick off the summer travel season, and hope today's content gave you some perspectives to consider, not only for this summer, but for future summers. As you're planning any travel, remember to look past the headlines and dive into the fine print to get the most out of your money and to get what you're paying for. So here's to wishing you and yours a safe and enjoyable summer while making memories with your family and friends. Thank you so much for joining us today for Headlines in Fine Print with Dion Williams, brought to you by Piedmont Advantage Credit Union. We'll launch new episodes each month and discuss topics that are relevant to your financial life. We have a wealth of resources on staff that can provide information on a variety of financial topics, and we look forward to sharing those with you. If you'd like to learn more about the credit union or how to become a member, please visit us at the newly updated PACU.com website, PACU.com. And as always, please don't hesitate to reach out if you have questions about today's episode or to suggest content for future episodes. You can reach me directly at 336-750-7088, and my email is dion.williams@pacu.com. Thank you again for listening, and hope you have a wonderful summer.